Some folk think that one day we'll upload our minds and live forever. But surely copying information isn't the same thing as transferring awareness. When you actually look at it, a digital version of you might wake up believing it's you, while the original still faces death. So if a perfect copy of your mind exists in a machine, why should you believe you'll ever experience being it? Physics, Consciousness and Reality, Dickie Dredd and Nigel Adams. And this is part 24 of the video series in chapter 3, Consciousness at the Frontier. And we're on section 21, Digital Immortality, Uploading the Mind. If cloning raises the question of whether identity can be duplicated, the next leap is even bolder. Could we download consciousness? The idea pops up in science fiction all the time. Minds stored on hard drives, uploaded to the cloud, transferred into new bodies or virtual worlds. But does it actually make sense? First, let's be clear, we don't even know what consciousness is. We can measure brain activity, track neurons firing, map the circuits of memory, perception and decision making. But the subjective spark of what it's like to be you remains unexplained. That's the hard problem of consciousness, if you remember. If we don't know how consciousness arises in the first place, how can we hope to copy it? That said, many scientists and futurists believe that in principle, if you could map every neuron, every synapse, and every chemical state of the brain, you could recreate the mind in another substrate. Build a detailed enough simulation and, in theory, the same patterns of information would unfold. But even if you could achieve this godlike level of scanning and modelling, the crucial question remains, would you wake up in the machine, or would it just be a copy that thinks it's you? This is the teleporter paradox all over again. Destroy the original, rebuild a perfect replica elsewhere. Is that you or a clone that only believes it's you? If you upload your brain into a server, the you sitting here doesn't suddenly leap into the digital avatar. You're still stuck in your skull. The upload wakes up and says, "I'm me," but your subjective awareness hasn't transferred. From your point of view, you'd still die. Some folk argue this shows a fundamental flaw. Consciousness might not be transferable. You can copy the structure, but the first-person perspective, the felt sense of I am, isn't something that moves. It's rooted in the present moment of awareness. At best, uploading creates a twin, not an immortal continuation. But if consciousness is fundamental, not produced by the brain, but channeled through it, as we discussed earlier, the story shifts. In that view, downloading doesn't move awareness from one place to another, because awareness was never local to begin with. The brain is more like a receiver than a generator. Build another receiver and consciousness flows through that too. In that case, the upload might feel like you, but there's only one consciousness to go around. But the continuity of your current sense of self still dissolves at death. Can we download consciousness? From a technical perspective, maybe. We'll one day model the brain well enough to simulate minds. But from a philosophical perspective, it's murkier. You might copy your thoughts, memories and quirks, but whether you actually make the jump, or whether it's just a clever mimic, remains the unsolved riddle. In the end, the fantasy of downloading your minds shows the same blind spot as cloning. It assumes there is a thing called self that can be moved like a file. But perhaps consciousness isn't a thing at all. It's the ground out of which all things appear. And that can't be downloaded because it's already everywhere. So the dream of digital immortality depends on assuming the self is something that can be copied like data. And if that's true, then every upload creates another version of you rather than saving the one reading these words right now. Which means the problem isn't just technology, it might be our entire assumption about what consciousness actually is. So, are we trying to preserve ourselves or preserve an illusion of ourselves? Okay, next up, chapter 3, still Consciousness at the Frontier, and we're on section 23, Biological Immortality, Extending the Flesh.